Welcome to Beers and Biscuits, a dogcast for the rest of us. I'm Karen.
And I'm Nicole.
Grab a beverage, give your dog a biscuit, and enjoy the conversation. So, Nicole, are you drinking anything good or special tonight?
Today has been a day, so I went and got a second extra large coffee with 4 extra shots of espresso in it. So at least I'll be awake for this.
You're going to be up forever. You're going to be awake.
What about you? You got anything fun to drink tonight, Karen?
I have just a simple lager. I'm a lager girl, or a dark beverage,
Nice.
or dark beer, but no coffee for me. Caffeine doesn't do anything for me.
So, Karen, it's great to be back. Getting into the groove and with recording. I'm very excited for all of the fun things that we have. This week, we're going to be talking with Lauren. And I know that you've been good friends with Lauren over the last little bit. So
we are going to be dipping our toe into the world of social media as a dog trainer. It can be a dark and tumultuous place, as Lauren can speak to through some of her experiences. But it also can be a truly wonderful place because it brings people together. It brought you and me together. It brought us to Lauren. There's so much good that can come out of social media.
Right. And I think it's that double-edged sword sometimes for people that are using it in a professional capacity, especially if they're also using it to bring in business. And so I feel like there's also that dynamic at play too, where, for me, I don't do that. I just have my own personal account and I like to post pictures of Peter and that's it. So, it's not as detrimental to me if I just say, well, I'm just going to wash my hands of it for a week or 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things people forget is that it's called social media. It's a place to be social. It's not a place to be mean and nasty. It's a place to be social. And yeah, as somebody that uses social media for a part of my business, it's something that I can't walk away from completely. Yes, there are times I take like a week off or a couple of days off. I try to take Sundays off, but it is something that you kind of have to post regularly if you want to be getting brand deals and recognition and clients and all that fun stuff that can come along with it.
Right.
So social media is absolutely a job for some people. And there are days that I wish I could go back to just posting to CJ, but that's all right.
I was just going to say there is a lot that goes into it. You just said it is a job in and of itself, and there is a lot that goes into it. And I think that's, another important thing that clients or other people on the interwebs and social media don't understand how much of your time is spent creating that content. And so I think that's really important too.
Hopefully something people can take away, and she does a much better job of explaining it. But one of the things that she says is, what's the plot? That is going to be hopefully a game changer for some people.
And how that ties back into our lives and our businesses and the content that we put out, the things that are thrown at us, both good and bad on social media, is learning to find in yourself to pull out the things that are part of your plot, your story, and not necessarily taking all of it in, but focusing on the things that really matter. For her growth with Stella, her growing her business from just a dog guardian to then a walker to now, a full scale niche, very niche training business, discussing kind of that struggle.
And I just think it is probably about time we bring in Miss Lauren and start the conversation. So So we have a very special guest on tonight, and I am so excited to talk to her and share her story. She is a friend from social media, and we are going to be exploring a little bit of the social media side of the dog world. So I am so excited to introduce you all to Lauren of Sit Stay Stella.
Thank you, Karen. And yes, we did meet on social media. I love when I explain to people, oh, yes, we met on Dogstagram. And no, I've never met them in person, but we're besties. Just trust me. So I am the owner of Sit Stay Stella. We offer training and sitting services. I started out as a sitter to get away from Stella, quite frankly. And I was looking for really easy dogs to kind of, relax away from my big feelings, complex little adolescent. And every little client that I got ended up being another complicated big feelings dog. So my retreat ended up becoming my thing. And actually, Stephanie, my Dogstagram friend, also our other mutual friend, she sent me a bunch of referrals and she kept saying to me, oh, this one is going to be a good one. I promise you. But sure enough, I would go and I meet the puppy. I'd be like, oh, you did it again, Stephanie. So it became my thing and I just owned it. And I found this need in the market for special needs dogs, for lack of a better term, that needed really customized concierge sitting services. And so I would sit in their homes one-on-one. And that developed my training passion. I would practice on them. I got a lot of my hours that way. My clients got a lot of free training. And then that morphed into focusing more on training services, but sitting was always in the background because my training clients were my sitting clients and vice versa. And now it is so crazy to say that I have 6 sitters that are working under me. And I moved recently, so I'm able to offer a daycare in my apartment. And that's been a really fun journey. So it's just wild to think how it started. And now here we are. And Stella's chilling upstairs post daycare. And it's been really fun.
Tell us a little bit about Lauren the Guardian and your journey with Stella. Like, how did you get here?
Oh boy. All right. Well, my last dog, Sammy, passed away, and I thought about working at shelters or, pet sitting, but I found a big void in my life. So I adopted Stella within 3 weeks of him passing. And I remember wanting a puppy because I wanted to be able to mold him or her into the exact dog that I wanted, because Sammy was super complicated, had a bite history, and needed a lot of special handling. He ended up being a great dog. And now when I had the contrast of Stella, I actually realized I took him for granted. But at the time, it was like, okay, I'm going to have this super social dog. We're going to go to the dog park. I'm never going to have to muzzle her at the vet. That didn't happen. I will say today, Stella is a phenomenal dog, but the journey to get here was really rough. And I was going through some personal stuff too. So I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I definitely was at a point where I felt like my life was out of control. I had just lost Sammy. My job was really stressful. I had other personal things going on. And so I found myself pouring all of my energy into Stella, and her craziness and pulling on leash was just so embarrassing to me. And I had really big feelings about it. So
would you rather your life had a cinematic soundtrack or a sitcom laughter track?
okay, that is a really good one, because I often think when I'm bopping down the street with my headphones in that I do have a soundtrack.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
lately, lately, my life has been a sitcom. There has been me stepping into holes and lots of leash tangles, and I just tripped over the dog bed today, and I think I broke my toes. So I think, okay, well, it's what I would rather. I would rather maybe that cool girl on the movie screen with the soundtrack, but in reality, it is the sitcom laughter track.
I saw the quick little clip of you falling in the hole, and shamefully, as any good friend does, I laughed. I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, I hope she's okay.
It's like looking back at it, you're like, the hole is clearly there.
I love how Karen laughs first and then asks if you're okay.
Well, I mean, I gotta be true to who I am, all right? Come on now.
Well, no, I literally rolled back up and I go, I'm okay.
And it was just like this little, like, 3-second video, or like, and it was just, and like the sound you made when you went into the hole, it was all perfect. It was all perfect. So thank you for that.
You're so welcome. Now I have the trailer for this episode. You're welcome.
You're welcome. All right. Do you have a question, Nicole?
I do. Okay, Lauren, if you could pick one person to switch lives with for a week, who would it be?
Oh, that's really stressful. Can I get the next question?
We ask the hard ones. These icebreakers are no joke.
You know what? Actually, this is easy. How dare I forget Taylor Swift?
Be more stressful though?
I know. 3 hours a night.
Okay. How about I switch lives with Stella? She has it made, guys.
That's true. Or you could just do Taylor Swift like in the off season. You know?
Yeah, with Travis Kelce, of course.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
What about Taylor Swift's animals?
Oh.
I do not want to be a cat.
Yeah, and a cat named Meredith. Nothing wrong, no shame to Meredith. But
I mean, I think that's an adorable name actually for a cat.
Yeah, but like, oh, it is for a cat, but you want to go around for the rest of your life as a cat being called Meredith?
Mare.
Okay. All right. I get it. I'm wrong. I'll accept it. I think we all kind of have that belief in those hopes and dreams that the next dog is just going to be the easy one. But I know that we've said before that we kind of all believe, or at least I believe, that we get the dog that we're supposed to have and the one that's going to teach us the most and what leads you to where you are now, which is with this beautiful business and a great social media following and community. So let's kind of dive into that social media aspect a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's really fun. And I do agree that Stella is the dog that I was supposed to have, because I would have never become a dog trainer. I would have never decided to do the type of training that I do, right? I would have been like a puppy trainer. No offense to puppy trainers. I'm also a puppy trainer. But I mean, I would have thought that I wasn't capable of handling aggression cases.
What has the effect of social media been? Let's start with more on like the personal side of things. How has social media and your relationship with Stella, how have those two kind of gone together and been affected?
I would say that when I first got into social media, it was really exciting, right? You would start getting followers. I was like, oh, I have 100 followers. How exciting. And you're meeting all these new people and forming weird parasocial relationships. But you're probably getting more after like, what is it like today? And I've definitely gone through my mental health roller coasters with social media. It can be really exciting sometimes because you have a reel or a post that gets a lot of really good traction and everyone's like, yay, you're amazing. And those days are great. But I do always try to have the salesperson mentality because my background is sales, which is keep an even keel, because I found if I got too excited about the highs, I would also get really low on the lows. And I've gotten it all on social media. I've gotten death threats. I've been called a heifer. My, dating life and how often I am sexually active is now apparently for public conversation just
Don't
because,
forget your feet, okay?
oh my gosh, yes, my
Don't
feet.
forget your feet.
I wonder if I still have those 100-some feet lover followers. I've been really good about not posting my feet, but like maybe they're a little salty and they've unfollowed. I don't know. I don't track those stats. There's no the gram doesn't tell me who left and all that. So, yes, it's been weird. I will also say it's super interesting when there's always this moment where I can be down on social media or I can be down in my personal life. And then I post something or someone just randomly reaches out and they're like, oh my goodness, thank you so much for posting about this because I don't feel alone. Or they'll say something like, it is so cool to see Stella's journey. And I remember when she hated your mom and she hated your dad and you were nervous about driving to Florida. And it's those little stories that keep me going. And so a lot of therapy, a lot of self-work has gotten me to this point where I really try to be like Teflon on social media. I don't always achieve it, right? That is the goal. And there are definitely days that some trolls comment will get to me more than others, but I try not to get too excited and I try to remember the plot. Becky, who I also met on Dogstagram, she's like, what's the plot? Okay. Does this contribute to the plot? No. So ignore it. If yes, proceed and worry about it. Some troll 92 commenting like, you're a heifer and you are a terrible trainer and like blah 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 whatever. The best is calling Stella a cupcake dog. That one's really funny. Me engaging in a conversation with them is not going to benefit my business. It's not going to benefit the forest-free community. It's not going to benefit my little niche within the forest-free community. So we got to ignore it and move on and refocus.
The Randy Randos. Although I've stepped it up. They're now Randy McRandersons. I had to change it up a little bit. So Lauren, my question, as you're talking, as you were just talking through that, was there a point as guardian Lauren, prior to trainer Lauren, was there a point where your journey with Stella, because it is so open and out there, that having that on social media became maybe detrimental to your journey with her?
Yeah, definitely, because you want to post the raw stuff, right? But then it's also like, well, I'm becoming a trainer, so how is this going to be perceived, right? And so I found myself second guessing a lot more. And I landed at a place of, I'm going to post it because it's super important that people understand that just because I'm a trainer, my dog is not going to be perfect. It's one thing to say you're working towards something and posting about it, but there's this element of sharing, right? That happens. There's something that happens when you start sharing your story and it starts gaining traction where you almost want to perform for the people that are watching, right? And so there's this audience, and I felt this way most when it came to introducing Stella to my dad. It took about a month and there were a lot of hiccups, and I definitely perfected. I didn't perfect it at that point, but there were a lot of learning lessons. Look at this language. There were a lot of lessons from Stella's process of meeting my dad that if I were to post it today, I'd be like, oh, that was kind of some messed up training. Like that was a mistake. Oh, that was a mistake. I would do that a little bit differently. But I posted it and I showed, I would say 90% of it. did tend to thinking how I want to phrase this.
There can just be a lot of shame around what we don't know, but we know now. And social media, sometimes you get held to a higher standard because you have so many eyes on you.
Right.
And then you can just get in your head about it and you start to go, oh, why did I ever share that? But like you were saying, people are going to relate to that. And the other side too is that training is never perfect. We never get it right 100% of the time. So it's always a battle to share it online too, because like the other day I was trying to film some cooperative care of brushing CJ, and halfway through I realized that like my timing was off with like giving the treats, and I was like, well, I can't post this now. But we've got to kind of let go of that because that was a real life training session and I want
Right.
clients to know. So I'm not trying to hijack what you were saying. I was just trying to hopefully.
We're not hijacking it. Do not let our ADHD symptoms make us think like, oh, now I'm hijacking. No, we can relate and it's
exactly.
okay.
So I was just trying to hopefully get those juices going.
I think what you said with where you guys kind of converged on that is that there isn't a lot of allowances for you going through the journey. It's if you're posting something, you better be perfect about it. Or, you better, have the exact same method of doing it as all the Randy Randos out there, right? Yeah, there's no allowance for us to be learning on social media. It's like if you post it, it's got to be perfect.
100,000%, because the way that I got to where Stella is today was doing a lot of trial and error and just being like, you know what? Forget that training setup that we did. What if I just go for a walk with this friend? I know that I have built a rock solid bank account with her, and that reinforcement history, I can make a mistake and it's not going to cost me because we're good. I will share this vulnerable moment. The other day, I was kind of not paying attention to her and she was flexied on my waist. And we were just like, I was just tired. It was supposed to be a relaxing flexi walk. And all of a sudden, this lady's like, ma'am, your dog. And I turn around and Stella is greeting the lady's dogs very well. She likes doing this now. It's another thing I'm working on. And I'm like, I am so sorry. I am currently that person. And I don't know when I got here, but she is clearly 26 feet away from me. And I just blanked.
So what you're saying is you're normal. You're a normal person.
I am human. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you.
How dare you?
Right. How dare you?
Well, okay, so, I can't say normal. I'm pretty weird, but I'm human.
So then my follow-up question to that is then, was there something specific, like a specific comment or, somebody, a specific judgment on a specific post where you were like, yeah, like I have to turn it around. This stuff, like you said, I kind of have to be that Teflon because
I wouldn't say it was a specific comment, but I did have this reel that I posted where I was yelling at a guy for having his dog off leash, and the dog was approaching Stella, and I cursed, and it went viral. We're talking like 4 million views. I think I've since deleted it because I kept getting comments along the lines of, you're hysterical, you're too dramatic to be a dog trainer. Someone muzzle her, and that triggered me on another level because I definitely have my own past with people trying to censor me or saying I'm too much or too loud or too this. And then also being called dramatic is such a trigger for me. And so when it first happened, I was responding to like every comment, right? Because they say also you respond to every comment. It boosts the engagement. And then it got to the point where I was like, no, I actually don't need to continue boosting this post. I'm pretty sure I've deleted it. And if I haven't, I'm going to make sure I've deleted it before this podcast airs. But that was a really tough lesson in dealing with the internet trolls, so that when I went viral for the dog daddy protest and he literally made a meme out of me, right? And he just so ridiculous, even got a tattoo out of it, which I love that I'm permanently on his mind, but whatever. When I got those comments, which those were a little bit more intense, those included some death threats, which is like, okay.
Oh yeah, been there.
Like, really? Like, okay, whatever. That one I was able to filter. I got my mocktail. I went to bed early. I shut off the phone, and I got really good about focusing on the positive and ignoring the negative and just block, 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 and kind of laughing it off. But if I hadn't had that prior experience, I think the dog daddy one would have really done me in as my first going through the ringer experience, because they were on another level.
Yeah. Oh, they totally are.
Have I done something wrong on social media? Because I have yet to get any death threats. Please don't send any.
It does lend to a bigger issue of the dog community on social media, right? We are a profession of over 85% women, and God forbid we speak our mind. We are hysterical. We are dramatic. We, need to take a Xanax. You, in this profession as a woman on social media, there is, I don't know a single person that hasn't experienced that same level of, I mean, I don't want to call it harassment, but it is harassment, right? You standing up and just saying, I'm gonna tell, I think I remember seeing it. I'm gonna tell this guy to get his dog, because dude, like, why is your dog off leash in a leash park? Pay attention to your dog. But somehow that makes you dramatic. That makes you hysterical, right? I can imagine that those people making those comments never once thought, well, maybe the guy was doing something wrong.
No, why would they? And it's the same reason why I almost didn't become a dog trainer. I'll never forget that the person that told me to become a dog trainer, I was like, well, I'm not a man. How am I going to be training German Shepherds? Which is funny, Karen, right? Because you have a German Shepherd. But that was in my mind. I had, I don't want to say his name, but we're going to say it, Caesar Milan in my head with like a German Shepherd. That's what I pictured, right? All right, let's all. Actually, my whole slogan is a nod to that. It's who needs a dog whisperer when you can have a great listener? Because I got annoyed with everyone.
I love that too, actually. Can you put that on a t-shirt?
Yes, I will.
Absolutely. I love that.
I make little templates now, and I do drop shipping and just go.
Done. I'll take 2.
Done. But I almost didn't become a dog trainer because I thought I had to be this macho man. And I didn't even know that the dog training community, to your point, was more than 85% women. And that's by the IRS. Okay. So either we're the only ones paying taxes, or, I mean, you know what? Let's not get into stereotypes.
I mean, strong possibility. Strong possibility.
Let's focus, right? I said the IRS. Now this podcast is going to be flagged. I'm from Miami, and there's this element of machismo in Miami culture, right? Where, I had to deal with some acquaintances or family friends that were of an older generation. Kind of when I would give them instructions with Stella, they would want to do it their way. And they'd be like, well, I've had a dog for so many years, or I used to train dogs and this, that, and the other. And it's like, I appreciate your way. However, this is my dog. It's going to be my way. And I am a dog trainer now. And it took me a really long time to say, like, I am the dog trainer, right? I kept being like, I've taken this course, so like I know things. And then now I am a dog trainer. I know what I'm talking about. I haven't done my hours count, but I'm probably closer to like 500 training hours at this point, right? And that's in a really short amount of time.
Again, to your point, is that social media has fed into that so much, right? So, I mean, I'm a trainer from before social media existed. Let's be honest. Okay.
We
Again,
love you,
dating myself.
Nicole. You look really
Dating myself.
good.
I mean, I remember the first couple dogs that I worked, you couldn't look up shit on your phone. It was like your phone was for calling. Yeah, it was cool that you could now have it in your pocket, but there wasn't this social media thing. I mean, maybe the start of like MySpace was happening around that
Oh my
time.
gosh, MySpace.
So,
Do you remember when you could add the song to your page?
yeah.
And
Yep.
I was in high school at the time, so the top 8 was really dramatic. And your friend would bump you down and you'd be like, what did I do to you? Right? Like, did I not aim you fast enough? Right?
Right.
Yeah.
But it's like at that point, we still were very female heavy in dog training, but we were I guess we were tighter knit about that, right? So if you went to a conference, you'd pretty much only see women in a conference, right? Versus now on social media, we're getting the whole thing. So there is no more of kind of sticking to a safe space in the training world, because now we're inundated with all of it. And so the shift of those trainers that judge us, those trainers that say, well, if you don't work with hard dogs, and then you show them a hard dog and they'll say, well, but that's not a Malinois, and then you show them a Malinois and they're like, but you didn't have to deal with those before because they just weren't there. But now it's in your face, and I think it lends so much to that kind of imposter syndrome that a lot of us face now, because social media puts all of that right in our face all the time.
Oh, yeah. And I got loads of imposter syndrome, especially when I was raising my rates, and I did it after I got my CPDT certification. And I'm at a point now where, I'm looking at things and I'm still underpriced in the market. And it's a really tough conversation to have with clients. And especially after a price increase, not even 6 months ago, because when I'm looking at my pricing, I find myself picking a number and then knocking it off by 10 to 20%. And that's what the market ends up seeing. And I know that we're offering a premium sitting service. And for so long, I was defending our rates, and I stopped defending my rates when it was just me. But now I have a team, right? So it's defending my team's worth and what we will all do. And I found myself bending over backwards to say, kind of allude to, we would do a little bit more. And now I'm realizing, no, we're actually not well priced for the service that we're offering, right? In New York, there's a boarding facility with minimum wage employees that have a really high turnover and questionable education. And there's also really high ratio of dogs to handlers. And they're put into these large rooms with no scheduled nap time, no enrichment, no care for let's interrupt this bullying behavior and ask for breaks and find good pairs. And if they are going on a walk, it's on a slip lead and they're not doing training, right? I've seen the walkers of these facilities and they're on their phones. They're just checking the box. They're just dragging your dog along, right? So I have the boarding facilities, then I have the sitters that kind of just do it, I would say hobby sitters. And they're happy to take $50 a night, whatever. But the feedback I receive from clients is I got one update the whole weekend. Or I'm not even sure if they're reading the Google Doc or doing my instructions. And God forbid it's a separation anxiety client. That's a whole other niche within the market that I'm now focusing on. How do you know that they're not leaving your dog, right? For $50, you really expect someone to be there 24/7? That math doesn't math to me. So I've dealt with this imposter syndrome, and then I just onboarded an amazing sitter, Bridget. She was coming into it with all of this business expertise, and she was like, Lauren, your rates make no sense. The math does not add up. You are a premium service and you just have to own it. And it is better to let those clients that don't get it walk away and save your time for the clients that are going to pay you for your value. And I just went through this for a major holiday booking, which I should be happy, right? It's going to be a nice long booking. But they also thought it included training. And I was like, no, 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 no. That is my standard rate. My traincation rate is this, and this is what it's geared towards. It's for a specific goal. There's no guarantees. This is not a magic fix. This is a good head start, but with your timeline, there's no promises being given with this package, but your dog will have an amazing experience. I promise you that, right? So to your point, Nicole, the misogyny definitely impacts our imposter syndrome. And then it impacts our business capabilities. Like right now, I am not making the best business decisions because of this silly little voice in the back of my head saying, I'm a woman and I shouldn't be doing half the things that I'm doing. And oh, this was a good one. I cannot believe I didn't post this on social media. You two are going to lose your minds. I was picking up my puppy client at the subway. I meet her at the subway and she had to poop. So she was doing, little puppy zigzags. All right. And this guy had earlier wanted to greet her. And I said, no, thank you. He kind of didn't get it. So I did like a no, thank you with a big stop sign and outstretched arm for those of you that can't see me. And I guess he must have felt salty about it because he had finished his lap around the block and was behind us. And I hear, learn how to walk your dog. And I'm like, me? You talking to me? Like, I'm the dog trainer. What do you mean? Right? And so he's like, yeah, I'm talking to you. And while you're at it, lose some weight. And I was like,
oh, no, he did not.
So, yes. Why are we always back to the weight? And I'm like, first of all, in my head, I'm like, I'm wearing 5 layers right now. So this isn't even like my physique. Okay. Right. So pause. Second of all, I happen to love the way I look, but, that could have been the whole real part too, because I was shouting at him down the block and I told him off.
I mean, it's just crazy. I can't even tell you the things I've heard over the years. That it's just crazy. And it does make you doubt yourself, for sure.
And I've just decided this is my service. I'm going to keep doing it my way. And at the end of the day, these clients are my VIP OGs, if you will, right? They are my biggest supporters, but you only get that way with age and wisdom, right? To make sure that you're curating that client base that makes you happy.
I mean, unless you're a middle-aged mediocre man on social media, then it just falls into your lap, you know? I mean, there's no
Well,
build up
all you
there's
need
no
is
build up there.
A Gucci sweatsuit, you know.
The pair of shades. That's
All
it.
I know is, so I am also with Nicole. I got into this before, like social media was around, but it wasn't as we were still sharing over saturated photos. But I can't imagine getting into this field now, seeing everything. I I have so many people that come to me that want to like do an apprenticeship, and they're just like, I don't know what to do, even clients on that level. So how have you been able to use social media to your advantage in your business and even just in your relationship with Stella?
That's a really good question. I would say it has enabled me to connect with people that I would have never connected with in my real life, right? I would have never found Karen and Nicole. Love you both. Stephanie. So social media has allowed me to form relationships with people that I would have never been able to meet just walking down the streets of New York, right? I'm able to find like-minded people in Canada, in Australia, in Sweden. Like it is wild when you get these interactions. And I will say I probably would have given up a lot sooner with Stella if I didn't have that support system and also that element of pressure to perform, which let's be honest, I'm a former salesperson. I thrive under. So part of me hates it, part of me loves it. And when I knew that people were following the journey, I was like, oh, well, I don't really want to do this today, but we are training today. And, you know, because I got a post that I trained today, and it did keep me accountable. There is a toxicity to that, but I will say net, it was overall positive. I've given myself allowances lately to not really stress about what I'm posting and just kind of, if I'm feeling it, I post our day, and I haven't been stressing about posting on a regular basis. And your question was, how has it helped my relationship? Uh,
So, like, were there times with your journey, again, with Lauren the Guardian, with Stella, where the pressures of social media, either good or bad, kind of affected that journey and that growth between the two of you? So, for me, I'm like, okay, I see, the pressures of, everybody has these perfect dogs that are off leash. And, if I'm not able to do that, that's going to creep in. And eventually, at some point, it's going to start taking hold, and I am going to start doubting myself. So with you and Stella, what were some of the good or bad ways that social media affected your relationship with her?
I would say the good is, again, getting that support and also finding my community that cared because, quite frankly, when I started training with her and I would obsessively talk about her issues and what we were doing, my friends just didn't get it, right? They weren't living it. Maybe they thought I was being dramatic. Whatever it was, we just weren't, it wasn't positive for our friendship for me to continuously only want to talk about my dog. So I needed to find an outlet. And so social media was that outlet. And I found the people that I could DM when I had a really rough day, and they would DM me too. And that was incredible. But then on the flip, and I really will say the pressure to really show perfection came when I was transitioning from Lauren the Guardian. And I love how you keep saying that, Nicole, to Lauren the trainer, because Lauren the Guardian was, okay, I'm going to show you everything. I'm going to show you all my mistakes, and we're going to be super honest and transparent. And this is my dog, and she's super messed up. And then Lauren the trainer was like, well, she's not that messed up. Like, I should show my progress, right? You know, she's not that bad. But she's also not fixed yet. So where's the line between honesty and publicity, right? I'm trying to get clients. So do I have to post every mistake? You know, what is it? And I will say I've gotten to a place where, again, I go back to what my friend Becky said. It's what's the plot? And it's not about me venting online about a mistake or anything like that. If I'm going to share a mistake or something that happened that was less than perfect, I want there to be a purpose behind it. I want there to be a lesson. I need to tie a nice bow around it for the followers versus Lauren the Guardian. It was, I just went through this really hard thing. It really sucks. I want to vent to you all. But now it has to be, all right, I made a mistake. What happened? Was I pushing us? Were my antecedents all off? Were my reinforcers wrong? Like, what was it? Okay, let's find how I'm going to tweak this for future training lessons, and B, how I'm going to tell people how they can prevent my mistake, and C, show that I also make mistakes. So it's more, I have to not just word vomit my whole day. There has to be an intention behind it. So I will say that's been the biggest difference, is trying to find the lessons throughout the day. Because honestly, if a camera followed me in daycare all day, there's so many good things that happen. Just incredible dog body language happening. Their conversations with each other are just incredible. And a lot of what I've realized, and the kudos goes out to Emily from Misunderstood Mutt. She has been my biggest cheerleader. She did my website and gave me a whole brand identity that totally encapsulated me. And I've never felt so seen by a friend that I met on the internet.
But it's just, again, this idea that everything has to be shown on social media, and then everybody's going to have their 2 cents because they don't know that growling is incredibly polite. I always love when I'm talking to my clients and I tell them when their dog growls, I say thank you, and I watch their minds explode. And then they go, oh, okay, that makes sense. So it's this incredible pressure, but I think you're doing a beautiful job of sharing. I don't want to say the good and the bad because it's not bad. You're showing what a real honest interaction is, and that needs to be seen not in a bad way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm in the process of trying to find someone to help me with social media so I can show all of these moments, because I'm just sitting on so much footage that is so helpful and so educational. And it's moments that you really wouldn't normally capture. I obsessively try to capture this stuff because I want to be able to play it back and figure out what was it, right? So I've compulsively documented everything, but it's people, I don't think people truly appreciate how hard it is to keep up with social media and how much time and energy and effort goes into posting and editing. And I have just decided I need help. Oh my gosh, should we talk about that? We should talk about Lauren the Guardian and Lauren the trainer realizing that she needs help.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Lauren the Guardian has never let anyone else walk Stella except for Emily. Okay, and that was just maybe a month ago. I've never needed a sitter. My mom always did it. Stephanie helped out a couple of times, but it's just so funny that I own a dog sitting business, and I am the primary and only caregiver for Stella. I really don't use my services, and I am using my sitter for my birthday, and I am so proud of myself. Go me for getting rid of Stella. We love her, but no. And so Lauren the Guardian has had to learn how to ask for help from my parents, from friends. Now Stella has this incredible inner circle, which it sounds so silly to say because our inner circle is getting ridiculously large at this point. You both could come over tomorrow and we could go for a walk and you'd be able to come into my house, which is just insane to me. And she would probably snuggle you and want pets and show you all her toys. So I'm able to just say to a friend, like, hey, can you just go and let her out? And I don't even worry about it now. So that's been one exciting new development in our relationship. But Lauren, the trainer, is approaching her business. I am approaching my business with the same mindset that I did Stella's training journey. Like, oh, gotta do it all. I started documenting it on TikTok and I was going to start posting how I was doing everything daily. And then that just it wasn't sitting right because just like posting my dog training journey, there's a lot of raw moments that you kind of just want to keep to yourself. Maybe in a year or 6 months, whatever, it's for public information. But right now, let's keep behind the scenes doesn't have to be so out in the open. Like, it is okay. I can still be an authentic content creator and curate what I put out there in the world. I'm not lying. I'm just selectively sharing, right? And so this past week, I realized I cannot do it all. But I just got to the point where I need more help and I'm actively looking for it. And I think by 2024 I'll have built the support team that I need, but right now I don't have it. And it's stressful, but we're just taking it one day at a time. And I'm not losing the plot, right? Because tomorrow we are doing a photo shoot with one of my sitters and Stella for the plot, right?
Well, and I think too, something that sometimes gets lost on Dogstagram is this idea that at the end of the day, our job isn't social media. Yes, there is a social media aspect. And yes, we get clients or we sell merchandise or we have brand deals. But at the end of the day, that's not our job. So the social media side almost is a second part-time or full-time job. And people kind of expect it, or we feel that we have to do it. But I just remember from all my marketing classes, kind of to your point, is to hire the people for the jobs you don't want to do. Hire the accountant, hire the website person, hire whoever you need to do the things you don't want to so you can focus on what you actually want to do. But at the end of the day, sometimes you can't farm out the content creation. Yes, to a certain extent, but like for me, where mine is, I'm the face of my social media. I can't ask somebody else to suddenly go post about it. But you need the help, but we also have to remember that our jobs aren't in the little screens. They're out with the dogs, out with the clients. So we've got to find that balance somewhere.
Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. And to your point, even when I do have that social media manager, I still have to get behind the camera and do my spiel and do it with pizzazz, right? We still got to bring the spice to Instagram and it still has to be my brand.
I think too, sometimes we kind of get caught up in that as well, because I remember when I first started getting heavily into social media, like we were talking about before we started recording, I felt my hair always had to be washed and brushed and perfect, and I had to have on the cleanest pair of leggings I own, and I had all of this immense pressure. But then today, you know what? I posted 4 stories about the difference in tissue boxes, and you know what? That got more engagement than when I have the best pair of leggings I own on. So sometimes I think we have to kind of relieve ourselves of some of those expectations that our social media has to be perfect, because just like our dogs don't need to be perfect, it's gonna be okay if, because I've had people send me messages, oh, you'd be so much more popular on Instagram if you just brushed your hair. And I'm like, if that's what
Really?
people are paying, oh my God, yeah.
That was my comment. Sorry.
Yeah, that's how we started. Well, I've had people, you would have thousands and thousands of followers if you, I have screenshots, I have the receipts, I'll show you. Um, if you just brushed your hair. And I'm like, if that's what people are getting from my page, I don't want them as
Right.
a follower. So
Are you
we have
kidding
to,
me? I literally posted while I was dying on my couch during egg freezing. It was
yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Everyone survived me talking about my ovaries for 2 weeks.
It's wild out there. It's wild out there. So that's why now I post whatever the hell I want. If I want to talk about tissue boxes, if I want to talk about, I don't even know, a donut, I'll talk about whatever I want because it's my social media.
100,000%.
And also, I'm a dog account. At the end of the day, I will,
You know, I mean, obviously my social media is way different from you guys because I don't have a brand. I don't care to have a brand. I don't even have a professional account. So, my 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 take on it is very different, right? Like I feel like that space, and I know we've talked a little bit about it before too, Karen, that space is what I need to get out, and hopefully somebody will see it, and hopefully maybe it will help somebody. It's not, the same as where you guys are trying to build something beyond. I'm just curating a space where I can talk about things that I need to get out. And so I think a lot of times too is that people that aren't approaching social media from the same perspective that you guys are don't understand everything that you're doing and the amount of work that it takes, and this fine line, just like you're saying, this fine line that you have to walk sometimes is, do I post this, do I not post this, what's like, and it's so hard. I don't envy anybody that's trying to build their business or build their brand in this fashion at all.
and sometimes too, I view social media, at least my social media page, as sometimes an escape. So I want to be able to go on and share the picture of CJ and Rosie laying next to each other at the gate, and I want to be able to turn my brain off from the horrors of the world for a little bit and share some dog products that I believe in, and that should be enough for people to be okay with, because look, my social media page is about my dog business. That's just how I feel.
I like, no, we're always focused on the plot. Hold on, I had an important thought. We can't lose the thought. What was the thought?
I'm not cutting that, by the way.
Oh. um uh
Like, it's your space. It's your just to create what you want in that day, and that's okay.
No, it was a more nuanced point.
It'll come back around. It'll come back around.
All right, next question.
So my question then is, how do you feel like, okay, scratch that. Do you feel like, and Karen, for you too, because you live out in Booneyville, New Hampshire. So, me seeing how busy you are, I'm like, it's like beyond me, right? Because there's like probably 3 people in your town, but you have like 30 clients. So the math doesn't math for me there.
We have 2,800 people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
They
and
all
like
clients, because that's the only way you have mass.
They are my clients. They are my dental hygienist. They are my pain doctor. They are my mechanic. They are my husband's coworkers. They are everyone.
So your life is basically the Gilmore Girls or CW show.
1,000,000%. I could take my
sure.
little beach cruiser bike to the farmer's market on Thursdays, and I see my bread person who holds on to a loaf of the oatmeal molasses before they sell out because they know it's my favorite. So I love where I live.
That's so quaint. Meanwhile, I'm getting yelled at.
I live in a place where when you stop to let somebody cross in the crosswalk, they give you the finger for it. So,
Oh yeah, directionals are a sign of weakness where you live.
Sunshine here.
Okay, what was your question, Nicole? Sorry.
So my question though is for both of you, but do you think that you would be able to grow your business without social media?
You would be hindered, right? So I have really big dreams for my business. And in order for me to grow the way that I want to grow, social media is critical. And I will say it has helped me start to get my ideal client more and more because they get a flavor of what I'm about and they are able to feel out my personality and they kind of filter themselves before they even reach out to me. And so lately, all of the training requests and most of the sitting requests that I'm getting are my niche ideal client. They are like, if I could dream up a client, that is them. So I would say I have made my peace with social media, and I still have a lot of friends and family members that, they're like, oh, I could never do what you're doing. And I've moved on past that. And it's just, this is part of my job and it's what we got to do. And guess what, guys? I remembered what I wanted to say. Woo! Okay. So what I was going to say, going back to choosing what we post and don't post about, it is impossible for us to be force-free dog trainers promoting choice and agency with our dogs and allowing opt-outs in training sessions and co-op care sessions and not respect the no of one of our fellow community members, right? If I choose to opt out of a conversation, if that was a training session, you would still toss a cookie at the dog, right? We're doing errorless learning, right? So I chose, you know what? It's not the day for me. I'm not ready to go public with my feelings about this. That's okay, Lauren. So I think that is something I feel really, really, really strongly about is do I want to go there? The hypocrisy that can happen a lot in the force-free community. And sometimes I feel like we treat our dogs nicer than we treat each other. And I am all about successful approximations. I am all about, you know what you know today and you do better tomorrow kind of thing. And I just, I feel like a lot of the people that, well, no, let's not scratch the a lot of people thing, but if you're dealing with clients on a day-to-day basis, you're seeing real life situations and stories and heartache and trauma. And it's so much bigger than just methods and training sessions and tools and all this. It's a real human being at the other end of the leash that is struggling. And oftentimes they are so beyond desperate. And if they're lucky, they call me, right? But often they call me after they called
Right.
someone else. And I just want to choose compassion whenever possible and practice what I preach with dogs. So if you come on my page and we don't agree, that is more than okay. And some of my really good followers and I do not agree, but we have really nice, healthy debates. And I would like to think that we've helped each other grow in our beliefs and maybe even merged a little bit and found out we weren't that different, you know?
Well, and I think too, like going back to that hypocrisy part, if we want, or if you guys want your social media accounts to be authentic, then that also means that you have to listen to yourselves and not be pressured to put out things that other people want you to put out just because they want you to put it out, because that's the opposite of being authentic. And so I feel like, again, there's this, really hard line when you're using this platform to then also gain business from it.
Well, and I think for my answer to your original or your last question, Nicole, is that for me, I could walk away from social media tomorrow and my training, my physical training and daycare business would still continue to succeed. I like to believe. I have yet to get a paying training client through Instagram. The Instagram business side for me is the brand deals and the partnerships and the promotions that I do. And that's not my business. That's not what I woke up one day and was like, I want to have brand partnerships as my main source of income. But so I could walk away from social media tomorrow and I would be just fine. So that's the only difference for me. But again, I'm not in a huge city where I am trying
Right.
to reach. Now, yes, like
It's a
Lauren was
saturated
saying,
market for sure.
yeah.
It's so saturated. So,
And
if
like
that's
Lauren was
how you
saying,
stand out.
I have huge goals and dreams for what I want the timeless dog to be. That's why I have social media. But at the end of the day, those are 5-10 year goals. And I have to think right now. So I could walk away from social media, but I'm not going to because your girl's going to have a Netflix show one day. Don't you worry.
Oh, yes. You're very
Only
funny.
if you wash your hair, though, Karen.
Yeah.
No,
And
I have
make
to
sure
brush
that
it.
it's brown. It shouldn't be all these crazy colors, Karen.
I absolutely refuse. I absolutely
That's
refuse.
a double whammy. And her name is Karen. Oh, gosh.
I know. Well, I've stopped saying the phrase like, oh, you're being a Karen because I literally love you, Karen.
Oh, that makes me so happy. But you could absolutely still say it because besides me, the theory stands. The theory 100% stands.
I think you're the only Karen I know, but I was totally being a Karen. If you want me, I'll use it. I was being a Karen earlier today there's this beautiful part of Central Park called the Rambles, and I love it because it's a densely wooded area, and it is always, always, I repeat, always on leash only. Okay. It is never an off leash area, even during off leash hours, because it is such a woodsy area and there's cliffs and there's waterfalls and like, I don't know if they're waterfalls. Someone's going to make fun of me. They're definitely not waterfalls. There are water features. Okay. And there are but there's a good reason behind that rule. And so I was entering the Rambles today with my two doggos, and a guy was leaving and his dog was off leash. And I was like, you know what? He may not know. Like, he just may not know. And apparently getting yelled at and being called fat just wasn't enough for me today. You know, I said, hey, you may not know this, but this area is always on leash. And he turns around and his jaw must have been touching the ground. Like maybe it was a centimeter off the ground. And he just stares at me and freezes. And what do? I repeat myself. I go,
Good for you.
I said, you may not know this, but this is always an on-leash area. And again, he just looked at me and he turned around and walked away. And Becky goes, you should have given him an action item. You should have told him, so leash your dog. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so true. I am a dog trainer. I don't just tell people not to do things. I have to tell them what to do instead. And I was like, that's why he was confused.
So I live in the mountains, and I was just listening to you describe that, and I was like, I wonder what it's really like, though, in Central Park. I've only ever been to New York once, and there's entirely too many people there, so I don't know how you do it.
Agreed.
It depends on the timing. So there's what I would call the weekend warriors that take their dogs out only on the weekends. It's just like the dog park, and wherever you are, America, I'm sure you have the same problem. And because I run the daycare now, I have the advantage of seeing Central Park after everyone has taken their dogs out and they've gone to work and they've started their day. So the dogs and me get the lay of the land, and it is just beautiful. It's so nice. I don't even have to deal with lunch hour or rush hour or anything like that. We always go at the beginning of the day because that's the flow that works best for the dogs. And I will say it depends on where you are, right? It's a huge park. No one quote me on this. I am not like a factoid person. I don't know facts. I just know it's really large. Okay. Yes, Central Park is really large. That's a quote from Lauren's podcast. Well,
that's what we'll call it this episode. Central Park is large.
You may not know this, but Central Park is large, so leash your dog. You know, there's certain areas where it's more touristy, so there will be hot dog stands. There'll be the what do they call those people on the bikes? The bike taxis, which now they have electric bikes. But back in the day, they were really pedaling you around Central Park. But now they got the electric bikes and they have music and
we
lights.
don't even have taxis here, so you're just showing us now.
We have a carrot, yeah, right. And there's a lot of pack walkers that will just park with their dog inside of the Rambles, and they do that intentionally because, again, it's such a woodsy area and it's very confusing, the pathway. If you haven't been there a lot, you can get lost really quickly. So tourists tend to just only be on the perimeter. They won't go inside, which is why I'm always able to go. But they'll tie up the dogs and just sit there. And that is what people are paying for. And they're probably making at least $25 a dog. So at least 100 or 200 an hour. And I bet they just sit there in case one of them has a fly collar or something like that, you know. just so no one, but I've been taking pictures of them, and I haven't decided what social media campaign I'm going to do, but
Right.
it is for the plot, right? I have a year's worth of content just on my phone right now. It's ready to go. And by ready to go, I mean someone needs to find the video and edit it, and I have to do a voiceover, and we have to make it pizzazzy for the
You mean
Grammy.
we're not just posting content? So so let me get this straight. We don't just play with dogs all day, and we don't just post random videos. Wild.
And you forgot you're not millionaires because you have all these endorsement deals.
Oh, you're posting this for clout. That's the best one. That's the best one.
Yep.
We forgot about that one.
Because
When people are like, oh, you're posting about Amazon links. And I'm like, first of all, I have accepted Amazon runs the world. I understand.
Oh,
Nicole. I am so sorry, Nicole. I have an Amazon storefront and I have affiliate links.
I do too. I'm sorry, Nicole.
I make pennies on the dollar, and I will take my pennies to the bank.
I will take my pennies too.
I have made all of like $30 this year from Amazon, so
we're rolling in it. But no, that always drives me crazy. Well, you're just posting for attention, or you're just posting to make money. Well, yeah.
Right. Sorry, you aren't.
Yeah.
Sorry, you didn't figure that out. Not my problem.
Like, no, I posted this picture because I didn't want anybody to look at it. I didn't want you to see it, but I posted it. So come on. But so I think we've kind of come to maybe a natural place in this. I think we've kind of started to open up the conversation about what social media looks like, what it can look like, what it shouldn't look like for our dog professionals, and for what clients and potential future dog trainers or future clients it can look like, and the importance
and guardians.
And guardians, yes. But I think there's just so much more that we could talk about.
I just want to say thank you for having me on here. It's just lovely to have met you both over a year ago and now be sitting here as a guest on your podcast. And I also forgot to tell you, because I've just been such a busy little bee, that when I asked for podcast recommendations yesterday, someone recommended your podcast, Beers and Biscuits. And it wasn't a mutual friend. It was like a follower. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I know. They didn't know that you were already my besties.
Oh my god.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's so cool.
They were like, you may not know this, but there's this new podcast. It's called Beers and Biscuits. And I was like, I do know about it. I'm going to be on it tomorrow. So,
oh my god, that's
go
so
you,
cool.
girlfriends.
Thank you, that one listener.
Thank you. And okay, and then finally, last thing, how can our listeners find you?
You can find me on Instagram and TikTok, although until I get the social media manager, the Instagram is really where you want to be going. It's @SitStayStella_. And if you want to find out more about my services and book a free virtual meet and greet, that is sitstaystella.com. And you heard it here first. I've decided to spin off my Spanish content into its own handle, and it's going to be sitstayestella.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing. Well, we hope you enjoyed this conversation, and please don't forget to give your dog a biscuit from us. Until next time.